After another incredible weekend of college football, it was basically like watching an episode of Survivor. The AP poll is out. We've got a lot of big games we weren't able to talk about yesterday. If you haven't seen our Alabama-Oklahoma reaction, go check that out, as well as the Georgia-Texas one. Two fantastic football games. But as usual, you're coming here to see the new AP poll. You're coming here to hear about the rest of the weekend, and we appreciate you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 200K. How many are we at, Blaine? Like 192.5, something like that?
We are at
One exact
we're at
number.
192.5.
192.5. All right, so we're making our way. You need to join the party. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback. Blaine Crain, former Western State Colorado wide receiver, joining me. And first, the AP poll just released. Here's what it's at. We've got Houston at 25, Tulane at 24, Missouri at 23, North Texas 22, James Madison 21, Tennessee 20, Virginia 19, Michigan 18, Texas 17, USC 16, Georgia Tech 15, Miami 14, Utah at 13, Vandy at 12, BYU at 11, Bama falls to 10, Notre Dame at 9, Oklahoma goes up to 8, Oregon is at 6, and Texas Tech is at 6. That can happen in the AP. They have the exact same number of votes. So we got 2 6s, and then we go to an 8. Ole Miss is at 5. Georgia is at 4. A&M is at 3. Indiana is at 2. Ohio State at 1. So the top 3 did stay the same. Blaine, I'm going to go to you first, and I do want to make sure the audience understands this is not the college football playoff rankings. Those come out Tuesday. There have been some differences, some pretty big differences in both the poll and the rankings. So this is not bearing on exactly what's going to happen, but it's fun to kind of look at where the AP sits. Blaine, first reaction to you when you see this new AP poll. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it somewhere in the middle? What do you love? What do you hate?
Look, I always hate when anytime we give the AP poll voters
respectable
a chance to, make their decisions, because I think they're probably some of the dumbest people in the world. Not all of them, but there's some bad apples in there for sure. Alabama dropping down to 10 is interesting to me. I believe they dropped 6 spots behind Notre Dame. You kind of look at those schedules. Look, I know Notre Dame just went and beat a good Pitt team on the road. I thought maybe Alabama would have stayed in front of them. Texas dropping all the way to 17 with 3 losses is kind of confusing me why they're ahead of Michigan and some other teams. JMU sneaking in for that group of 5 after South Florida loses.
But Blaine, does it matter? JMU was the top-ranked group of 5 team last week in the AP poll.
In the AP,
college football
that's right. I had the
come
college
out.
Football.
And USF just lost. I mean, that helps James Madison, but how much
1,000%.
stock? Hell, I put more stock into them having North Texas at 22.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I tell you what, Virginia at 19. You can say what you want, Virginia. Look, I know Miami looked great, but Virginia is slowly kind of turning into that team that could maybe sneak their way into the playoffs. The absolute beatdown they just gave Duke. So, look, I'm just not always a huge fan of this. I'm fine with 1, 2, and 3 after Texas A&M's performance. I mean, look, I know you came back, but we have to put weight on. You were down 30-3 at one point. So, the biggest thing to me is Alabama dropping all the way down to 10 and being behind Notre Dame.
Yeah, to the Virginia point as well, they did the ACC a huge favor by beating Duke, because it was if Duke would have ended up winning the ACC championship, there's a world in which the ACC doesn't get any teams in. We've gone through that. You've seen that everywhere else. David, the Alabama drop is probably what's going to be mostly talked about. I agree with Blaine. I don't understand when you look at strength of record, at least you would think with the wins that Alabama has. I know the Florida State loss isn't great. But, their other loss being to Oklahoma looks pretty good now with them at 8. Of course, Notre Dame lost to A&M. I get it, who's at 3, but I felt like Bama would be a spot ahead of Notre Dame. Does that tell you right now that you think, and again, I know the playoff rankings are different, that this Notre Dame team is a lock at 10-2, regardless of what Miami does?
Yeah, that was the biggest topic of conversation in our household last night was, how far is Alabama going to fall? And I think you have a situation now where had Alabama lost to Florida State in week 1 and then lost to Oklahoma in week 2, just like Notre Dame did, and then won all the rest of their games up to this point, they'd undoubtedly be ahead of Notre Dame. But again, they're rewarding Notre Dame for being on this win streak. Obviously, the way they beat Pitt with College Game Day there yesterday, I think, was pretty significant. And Alabama losing this late, I thought there was a case to be made that Alabama would be the second 2-loss team there, right behind Oklahoma. Again, the inconsistency of when to honor head-to-head and when not to. I mean, obviously, they move Oklahoma up now with 2 losses and move Alabama back, acknowledging the head-to-head. I just still feel like there's going to be a weird scenario here with Miami. I mean, Miami's been on a roll here the last last couple of weeks. They could win out and go 10-2. They're a spot ahead of Georgia Tech, who only has one loss. So there's an issue right there. But so many spots behind Notre Dame, who they have the head-to-head win over. Now, one thing I want people to understand here, though, yes, Georgia's going to be at 4 now and Alabama all the way back to 10, but one of those losses for Alabama was out of conference. So Alabama and Georgia still have the same in-conference record, and Alabama has that head-to-head. So Alabama is still poised, not just to make the college football playoff, but potentially to make the SEC championship game. And yeah, Blaine, to your point, Texas with 3 losses ahead of not just Michigan, but also Virginia. I mean, can Texas do anything at all to fall outside of these rankings? I just don't think they can. I do agree with JMU and North Texas being the first 2 group of 5 teams, but my God, what does Navy have to do to be in front of Tulane? Can Navy do anything at this point?
No, I mean, and again, you look at that Army game that we talked about and when it's played, you know, how that's going to affect things. Because Navy, they're the first team receiving votes outside of the top 25 in the AP poll. But what we need to do, Blaine, if you get a second, can you pull up the college football playoff rankings that came out last Tuesday? I know it's only 25, but just to have those up, because I'm trying to remember, I don't think I saw Navy in those. I don't think Navy was in that. So to your point, Cone, Navy just beat what was looking like the front runner to be the group of 5 rep in South Florida. That's got to be worth something. But to the Texas point, again, nobody's saying Texas is a bad football team. But at the end of the day, can somebody just sit down like and explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, just hold my hand in a public place and walk and talk to me and tell me how Texas can be in front of Michigan and Virginia, but behind USC?
Because Texas has like a bunch of cool shit. You know,
yeah, well, but again, I don't understand. What's the difference?
It's like that one friend you had that you're really not friends with, but he has like a really cool house and a pool and a 4-wheeler and like a basketball court in his backyard. That's what it feels like the AP poll voters look at Texas like.
Yeah, but again, like I understand why SC would be in front of Michigan.
Yes,
they beat them head to head. They got an even record. I get that. But if you're going to sit here and say Texas needs to be in front of Michigan, well, at least be consistent and say they need to be in front of USC. Don't put them in the middle. That makes absolutely no sense. Another thing that I'm eyeing here, guys, this, you know, we've talked a lot about how crazy all these conference races are, but I'm sitting here looking at the Big 12, and I'm like, if you're Brett Yormark, if you're the commissioner, at this point, you just got to be hoping that BYU goes and beats Cincinnati, and Texas Tech's going to beat West Virginia. So Texas Tech's going to be 11-1 going into the Big 12 championship game. If you've got BYU beating, because they got 2 games left, they've got at Cincinnati, and then their last game, and remember they have the head-to-head over Utah as well. They go to Cincinnati, then they host UCF, right? So you feel like you beat Cincinnati, you're going to beat UCF. So if you have 2 11-1 teams out of the Big 12 in the conference championship game, obviously one of them has to lose to go 11-2. I mean, do both those teams get in? Like, because again, I know it depends if Vandy wins out and beats Tennessee and they only have 2 losses. What's going to happen with them? You know, Bama wins out 10-2, they should be in. Like, what percent chance, David? I'll start with you. Do you give the Big 12 only getting 1 team in, even if BYU and Texas Tech both go into the conference championship game at 11-1?
If both of them go into the conference championship game 11-1, you're saying BYU wins out. Just off the top of my head, I'd say 80% chance that they just get 1 in, the champion of that. I mean, especially if it's Texas Tech that wins the Big 10 championship game, or the Big 12 championship game. I think Texas Tech is a serious football team. I think they could do some damage in the college football playoff, and it gets back to what is the goal of a conference. Is it to get the most amount of teams in, which most people would say yes, or is it to have your best team go as far in the college football playoff as possible? I think Texas Tech could do some serious damage. Now, BYU had a great win last night. I know we're going to talk about it. I think BYU, they could win a game in the college football playoff. And also, I keep looking at this Utah team who had another great win and who lost to both of those teams. I don't think they're going to make the Big 12 championship game. They're going to be boxed out of it. But right now, it looks like it's going to be 1 team, that champion there.
And if I'm not mistaken, the playoff committee had Utah in front of Vanderbilt, correct?
Right now, they're 1 spot behind in the AP.
Okay, what about in the college football playoff rankings though? But look, I mean, at the end of the day, if Utah doesn't make the Big 12 championship game, they're not getting in the college football playoff.
Yeah, they had Utah. The playoff committee had Utah at 13 and Vanderbilt at 16.
Okay, so again, Utah's got to win out. They play Kansas State at home, then they go to Kansas. Let's say they do that. If BYU wins out, it's not going to matter because BYU has the head-to-head, and Utah playing a really good bowl game, but they're not making the college football playoff. What's going to be interesting is, if BYU loses to Cincinnati, because I do believe, looking at the standings, that they do have an equal record in the Big 12, but that would obviously no, that's wrong. That's wrong. To your point, Cone, Utah already has 2 losses. So I think they're cooked.
Yeah.
I think they're cooked.
Yeah, which, begs the question, is Miami a team that can make the college football playoff without participating in their conference championship?
Man, there's no way. There is no way, right? There's no way. You would have to have all that, because how many teams are going to finish at 10-2? That's the thing. That's the thing that the committee, I'm sure, is biting their nails over this morning, because we could live in a world where USC beats Oregon. They both went out. They're both 10-2. Neither one of them playing the Big Ten championship game. And even if Michigan were to lose to Ohio State and not make the college football playoff, now it looks super interesting, and that you feel like the Big Ten's definitely going to get 4. Then you look at the SEC. If Vandy wins out, they finish 10-2. Ole Miss is looking like they're going to finish 11-1, but even if they lose the game, they're still 10-2. Georgia, right now at worst, is going to finish 10-2, and then Notre Dame sitting right there. I don't know. I'm telling you right now, and I don't know if an 11-2 Big 12 team makes the college football playoff. I just don't think so.
Yeah, but you flip a couple of those games the other way. I think Tennessee is going to beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They're going to pick up their 3rd loss. Texas already picked up their 3rd loss. And I think they're going to lose to, they might lose to Texas A&M. Let's just, we got a couple of weeks before that one. That is a rivalry game, and it will be in Austin. But, and then SC playing on the road at SC is going to be playing on the road at Oregon. They don't play great on the road. They could lose that game, and Michigan's going to have to play the number 1 team in the country. All those teams lose. All of a sudden, Miami's going to be sitting there at 10-2 saying, hey, we beat Notre Dame. Does no one remember that? Which, another point on the Michigan-Texas thing, not only do they have one common opponent right now, which is the Oklahoma game, they're going to have 2 common opponents when Michigan has to play the Buckeyes at the end of the year.
Guys, a lot of teams are trying to upgrade their chances to make the college football playoff. But something else you need to upgrade this holiday season, a lot of people get new appliances or luggage, the latest phone or computer models. This year, you need to replace something you need. You're upgrading your home and sleep with the highest quality bedding from Bowl and Branch. They're the number 1 team in the country. It's not even close this year. And right now is the perfect time to upgrade that bedding, because Bowl and Branch is having their best sale of the year with 25% off everything site-wide. Their signature sheets are what everyone raves about, and for good reason. They strike the perfect balance between soft and breathable, so you can actually get a great night's sleep. You know how important that is. Plus, they're made with 100% organic cotton, and they actually get softer every time you wash them. We all have them. I think we can say that's the truth, right? We've washed them enough times now. My wife, she gets excited when we get new advertisers and stuff like that. This is without a doubt her favorite. And the waffle blanket cone. Come on, let's be real.
That's our favorite here.
Blaine, I know you love it, and you need your
sleep. Yeah, I love it. It doesn't matter if I love it. My girlfriend loves it. All right.
There
that makes life a lot easier for me.
There you go. And they also offer a 30-night guarantee, so you can try everything completely risk-free. So give yourself and your loved ones the most extraordinary feeling sleep with 25% off site-wide, plus free shipping and extended returns during Bowl and Branch's best sale of the year. Head over to BOLLANDBRANCH.com/booster. Then use code BOOSTER and get that 25% off. Exclusions apply, but so is the fun. Very true.
And remember, Alabama still has the Iron Bowl. And Auburn could do the funniest thing possible.
Yeah, which, we're going to be breaking that game down, especially with the matchups we have next week as kind of the appetizer to rivalry week. But, guys, outside of that, I'm not seeing anything that's unbelievably egregious here or you need to stand up and pound the table. Not like at the end of the day this one has any dictation on what's going to happen with the college football playoff rankings. I would say, at what point does JMU, does that 11-1 record, and obviously you got to play in your conference championship game and win it to go 12-1. At what point now does that get you in? Because as much as we're talking about these big time conferences that are fascinating, this American conference, it's it's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's absolutely nuts that's going on. And if we look at what the American has left, week 13 here. Hold on, let me change it real quick. Bear with me. You've got, South Florida's going to you, they're out of it. You've got Tulane going to Temple. They should win that one. North Texas going to Rice. They should win that one. Then the next week, you got Navy at Memphis. That's a big one. That could be another nice win for Navy, who's leading the conference right now, I believe. North Texas then hosts Temple, and you've got Tulane hosting Charlotte. So, guys, you got to feel pretty confident in saying that you think it's going to end up being, I believe, Navy and Tulane here at the end. Who again? I'm trying to remember. I think I'm trying to remember who did Tulane play North Texas? Let me check that real quick. I got it right here.
I don't think so.
No, they did not.
No, they lost to UTSA. Never played.
Yeah,
yeah, man. It's
here's,
going to be
here's another one that's going to be real tough. Is Virginia. Again, if Virginia beats Virginia Tech and they go to the ACC championship game and they lose that, let's just say to Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech gets the auto bid, Virginia is going to be there sitting there at 10-3, right? 10-3 with 3 losses, technically to 3 ACC teams, but one of them didn't count, right? NC State didn't count as an ACC loss. And then you're going to have Miami there potentially at 10-2. Let's just say they went out, and Virginia's going to be saying, wait, just like SMU last year, wait, we risked it in the ACC championship game to pick up that 3rd loss. But the committee's never going to take them over a Miami or a team from another conference at 10-2.
No, that's where the brand bias, and we always hear about it for the SEC and the Big Ten, but that's where you're really going to see the brand bias. But guys, as bad as they looked offensively, talking about Pitt, you look at their schedule, they go play Georgia Tech, then they play Miami. If you beat Georgia Tech, that's going to be tough to go 2-0, but if you do that, you are going to be in. It's looking like the conference championship.
Well, that was Narduzzi's point, right?
Yeah, but still,
he said we could lose to Notre Dame by however many points and still make the ACC championship.
Yeah, I'm just over here too, sitting looking at SMU. Yeah. That again, you lost to Wake, who's not going to be in it. You lost to 2 Big 12 teams in TCU and Baylor. You've got Louisville at home and then at Cal. So there is a world in which, if Pitt wins these next 2 games, they would knock Georgia Tech out of the ACC championship game. Obviously, they would totally eliminate any hopes Miami would have of making the ACC championship game. But I'm looking with SMU, like, would it be Pitt and Virginia, or would it be SMU and Pitt? Because I don't think SMU played Virginia or Pitt. They didn't. So you'd have a 3-way tie there. It'd have to go to some sort of tiebreaker to be able to figure this thing out, man. It's just it's a cluster over there right now. Absolute cluster. But we want to know in the comments, what do you think about the AP poll? There are some other big time games that we got to get to. Guys, before we move on and start talking about that wild ass day yesterday, is there anything else you want to add about the AP poll? And I will say to the audience, remember, tomorrow we are giving out our college football playoff projections. Make sure you do not miss that. Then we'll have an instant reaction to the actual rankings that come out right after on Tuesday night. But anything else from you guys about this ranking here?
No, man.
Not really.
Championship week's here.
Yeah, we'll really find out Tuesday.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be interesting to see the movement. All right, I want to start with one of the craziest games that we have seen in a while, and that was the comeback that Texas A&M orchestrated to beat South Carolina when they're down 30-3 at halftime, and Marcel Reed looked like somebody blindfolded him and was waterboarding him in the middle of plays in that first half. David, I want to start with you. A couple things. One, I have never seen a team play so, and I'm talking about everybody was bad for A&M in the first half. Everybody was bad. Receivers were bad. Quarterback was bad. Offensive line was bad. Defense was bad. And then look so damn good. Marcel Reed literally lost the Heisman and then put himself back in contention in the second half. That's how crazy these two halves were. And before anybody says, oh, it's because of Shane Beamer or, oh, it's because of South Carolina, you better make sure and give your flowers to Mike Elko and Texas A&M because they have totally turned a corner culturally. That game was won by a culture that was instilled by Mike Elko. And you see the grip he has on that team after what I would have paid money to see what he said at halftime. And I'd be willing to bet it may not be the ass chewing a lot of people thought it was. And that team responded and looked like the best team in the country in the second half. Scored 28 points, 21 in the third. They came back in like 10 minutes, and they shut South Carolina out. Shut them out the whole second half. As much as you want to clown South Carolina, and they should get clowned for this, the first thing you need to say is, Texas Tech, welcome to college football playoff.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Well, Texas Tech too.
Well, them two maybe.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
We've all seen games that qualify as tale of two half games, right? Where you just, one team looks completely different in the first half than they did the second half. But I've never seen it be so distinct in every facet of the game. In that first half, Marcel Reed looked like a completely different player. Missing throws, wide receivers dropping catches, bad tackling, poor angles. On the flip side of that, every single one of South Carolina's stars, all the names we talked about all offseason showed up. Lenora Sellers looked like a number 1 overall pick. You got Harbor taking off for the big touchdown. You got Dylan Stewart off the edge like, oh yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like Clowney right there for the strip sack fumble. And then the second half, the complete opposite for both teams, not just one of them. And this Texas A&M team, to your point, you cannot come back and win a game like that in this conference, even if you're at home, unless you're extremely focused and if you have a lot of respect for one another and your head coach. That's the only way you can come back and win a game like that. Now, I've seen them do it at home and win by 1. I've seen them do it on the road against Notre Dame and win by a point. It's like whatever the challenge is ahead of Texas A&M, they figure out a way to handle it.
Blaine, it's polar opposite of what we've seen from A&M. And this shows you why getting the right personality and the right fit from an archetype standpoint at head coach is so important. You have a head coach in Mike Elko that's a defensive guy that now multiple times in games, and I know the South Carolina game wasn't nearly as big as the Notre Dame game. It was the offense that won the game. And there's been other times where they've led with the defense. You look at the Auburn game, some other examples. This team, we talk about it in college basketball when you get to the tournament. The teams that win the most can win the most ways. Now, having said that, your ass can't get down 27 again. Yeah, it's from here on out, outside of whoever you play next at your which I think A&M's 11-0, aren't they? Am I
10-0? They're
10-0. So you've got to walk through next. Then you're going to play Texas. You can't go down 27 to Texas.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen again. It's not a good recipe for success here. But I tell you what, I feel like the fans had a lot more panic than the players and coaches. So I will.
Hey, you're kind of breaking up a little bit, Blaine. Can you talk into the microphone?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay,
you're breaking up.
All right, yeah, my bad. Well, I will say this right now. As a South Carolina fan, guys, I'm sorry. All right, look, I'm an Auburn fan. I get it. This sucks. You're up 30-3. You feel like you could coast the rest of the game, and it's just an absolute avalanche of a waterfall of A&M. And the way Mike Elko has brought this culture, the fans and the media panicked more than the players and the coaches. They were fine on the sidelines, and I will say this:
hell, even the state troopers panicked.
Marcel Reed is the best off-schedule, best chaos quarterback, in my opinion, in college football. No matter if you take his reads away, he can work through the pocket. His development in the passing game has been fantastic. And if it breaks down, he can skate and go get 40. He can skate and go get 50. And as a defense, that sucks. An A&M team without Mike Elko would have lost this game probably 40-something to 10.
Yeah.
Right. But you bring in a guy. That's why you just signed him for 6 years for God knows amount of money. Right. These are the games you come back and win. If you're A&M, it's a completely different culture, a completely different team. Good for them. But let's come out in the first half and play a little better next time.
Yeah. And look, it got to the point in the second half where A&M just had to throw it. It got thick there at the end, they gave E.J. Smith the ball. He scored a touchdown. Your leading rusher had 28 yards, like Reuben Owens on 8 carries. In the second half, it's like, look, we got to go air raid. Basically, that's what it turned into. That's why when you look at these final numbers, you're like, you didn't run the ball great. Listen to these receiving numbers. KC Concepcion, you talk about a great transfer portal pickup, and he couldn't catch a look in a brothel in the first half. He had 7 catches for 158 yards. Ashton Bethel Roman, who also could not catch a ball in the first half, had 4 catches for 139. Isaiah Williams had 50 yards on 3. Borkature had 40 on 3 there at tight end. And Mario Craver, we know, had the injury, I believe, so he wasn't able to be effective. I mean, you threw for 439 yards. I mean, that's an insane amount of yards. I know South Carolina struggled this year, but they got some pretty talented players. David, I have some A&M fans that I know you're obviously excited you won. But seeing Marcel Reed miss so badly in the first half, it was not close. It was not close. The ball where, the strip sack where he threw it behind him, that's kind of one of those crazy kind of fluky plays. But he was missing so high, it seemed. Yeah. Everything over the middle, a lot of it was to the arm side. But then you come back and look like you looked in the second half. I haven't seen Marcel Reed miss that bad for a whole half. Was that just an anomaly? Was that just one of those things?
What surprised me most about it was that it was at home. You go on the road in the SEC, like this kind of stuff happens. The fact that this happened at home and you already have so much momentum and you're undefeated, like that really did shock me. But it was in the past. All you can do is either respond or don't respond, and they responded. And so now you have that under your belt. You know what your floor is. You know what you're capable of. And if you do that against another opponent this year in the SEC championship or college football playoff or on the road at Texas, you will lose. So you know what your floor is, but you also know how you respond to adversity, and they've done so multiple times. On the South Carolina point, you can't lose this football game.
Dude.
You can't lose this football game, man. Like, especially when you have a quarterback that adds such a dynamic in the run game, at some point it becomes a math problem. You only need to pick up so many first downs to be able to close them out and shut this game down. Like, that's a tough loss right there for South Carolina fans.
Especially on the defensive side of the ball. Why wouldn't you just try to keep everything in front of you? Like, I mean, you're up 27 points. The amount of times I thought Texas A&M just launched the ball down the field and have guys running wide open, I don't understand how it happens. Like, I just don't understand this South Carolina thing. Maybe somebody can help me. But you have 3 legitimate first-round talents on this team. Like
Lenoris in the first half, Blaine, looked like what most people thought he was going to. That man could not make a mistake in the first half.
Like, do you know how good you have to be to even get up 30-3 against Texas A&M?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what does this mean for Beamer though? Like,
I don't know. Again, this one hurts.
Like, South Carolina's 3-7, 1-7 in the league. And we all like Shane Beamer a lot. Like, Shane's always been such a good ass dude when we've talked to him. But at the end of the day, man, when you look kind of at how it's gone down now at South Carolina, when this was supposed to be a team that you're like, all right. I mean, they started out ranked what, guys? 11th before the season? I mean, this was supposed to be a huge year for him. This was supposed to be a year that, hey, you turned the corner. You went 9-4 last year. You ended up losing the Citrus Bowl. You went 5-7 the year before that. You went 8-5 the year before that. 7-6 in your first year in 2021. I mean, he's 32-29 overall. We're sitting here in year 5. Yeah. Like, would you be surprised if South Carolina made a move?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, I'm a tremendous Shane Beamer fan. So, and I'm not like, I didn't play football at South Carolina. So I'd like to hear from the South Carolina fans, honestly, and see like, hey, what do you want? What would be the best direction from your program? Because there's one thing I know for certain. South Carolina can be and should be better than this.
100%. So huge win from go ahead, Blaine. Go ahead.
Yeah, quickly. I know. Look, last thing I want is Coach Beamer to get fired. I'm a big Beamer guy too. So I mean, if you look at it right now, if he were to get fired, South Carolina would owe him 65% of his remaining guaranteed salary. It depends on who initiates the termination and the specific date due to his contract. The estimated cost based on his contract repays him $8.15 million in 2025, increases by $100,000 annually. His estimated buyout is fired now. It's calculated just under $28 million.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. 28 ain't 50. I know South Carolina ain't poor. I know that too, but it's going to be interesting to monitor. Imagine if South Carolina, LSU, Florida, and Auburn, and Arkansas and Penn State were all open at the same time. And I think Baylor's about to open. I'm shocked.
I don't know why it's not already, to be honest.
I'm shocked I haven't seen a notification that Aranda's fired. I'm shocked by that, which I'm telling you right now, if Summerall gets the Auburn job, I've talked a lot about Neil Brown getting the OC situation, but if Dave Aranda gets fired at Baylor, it would not surprise me at all to see Spavital end up at Auburn. Would not surprise me at all. All right, let's move on, guys. We're going to get to the Big Ten. I want to stay in the SEC here because for a while, this Florida Ole Miss game was horrifying for Ole Miss fans. Mm-hmm. You survived it. You outscored them 14-0 in the fourth quarter. Biggest play of the game, I thought, was on fourth down when Trinidad Chambliss got the ball batted right back to him and took off and ran for the first down. That's about as crazy as it gets. But Florida came out fighting. They were firing. They were leading at halftime 24-20. But just like A&M did to South Carolina, Ole Miss cut the water off. No points for Florida in the second half. Nobody scored in the third quarter, but Ole Miss able to put the game away with those 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. You know the old saying, the best offense is a good defense? Well, it's not just true in sports. It applies to life, too. The smartest defense you can have is making sure you've got the right life insurance coverage. That's exactly what SelectQuote is doing. They help you find the best protection at the best price. They are the O-line for your emergencies. Now, that's what we call playing it smart. Now, if you're new to life insurance, SelectQuote, they make it simple. For over 40 years, they've helped more than 2 million Americans find the right coverage by comparing plans from top-rated insurers to match your health, lifestyle, and budget, all for free. Their licensed agent, they take the guesswork out of sorting through confusing options. You can get same-day coverage up to $2 million with no medical exam, even if you have pre-existing conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, or if you're an Auburn fan. SelectQuote partners with companies that offer suitable policies. Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. So visit SelectQuote.com. Let their agents find the right policy for your life and budget. It's never been cheaper. Get the right life insurance for you for less. Save more than 50% when you go to SelectQuote.com/booster. That's right. That is half off term life insurance at SelectQuote.com/booster. Head over there today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/booster. I will always say in this year especially, when there's been parity, when we're seeing crazy ass stuff happen with teams that have great records struggling with teams that don't, with Lane Kiffin's past, at this point, a win is a win is a win. And I get you want to be playing your best ball at the end of the year, and I think Ole Miss has been playing really well, but they dodged a bullet. You're able to win a game that you were supposed to win, as hard as that seemed defensively in the first half. But Cone, starting with you, I think they're 10-1. They've got one more game. They're going to play the Egg Bowl. I think they're going to beat Mississippi State and be 11-1 getting in. We'll see what happens with the SEC championship, but I still think a 10-2 Ole Miss team gets in. That Oklahoma win over Bama really helped their resume as well.
Oh yeah, and good for Florida competing like this. This is how you should play Ole Miss. They've been the most Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team, beating Texas, hanging close against Georgia, and then against Kentucky, you look like a Division III team. DJ Lagway's getting benched, but last night, I mean, you saw the waggle play fake with the flood over the top to the boundary, that touchdown throw that DJ Lagway had. I'm like, that, do you see what he's capable of? Like, that's how it's supposed to look. That's playing on Sunday type stuff. But, for Ole Miss, when the biggest criticism has been, hey, late in the season, when it matters most, Lane Kiffin just kind of, drifts away a little bit and is not playing championship football. To be playing like this, to win these last couple games the way they have, I think this team is focused. And again, when in a year when we expected him to possibly take a step back and this not be the best team, to win 10 games yet again, what's that, 4 times, something like that, since 2021? It truly is incredible. And for all the reporters asking Lane Kiffin after a big win like this, like, where are you going to coach? Are you going to announce your decision tomorrow? It's completely unacceptable and unprofessional and disrespectful. Like, allow that man to celebrate with his team after a huge win.
No doubt. Blaine, again, we talk about Jeremiah Love not getting enough love, I guess, pun intended. But man, at what point do we got to start talking about Kejuan Lacey more?
Damn good backs. I don't think Kejuan Lacey fall backwards.
Dude, he went for 224 with 3 tugs on 31 carries. The man's got almost 1,300 yards and 19 touchdowns. You got one game to go. I'm not saying he should win the Heisman, but if you have not watched Ole Miss and watched this cat run, and Blaine, he's kind of like a taller length. He's I'm not saying he's not muscled up, but he's kind of like a longer back, right? And typically those guys aren't the greatest at breaking tackles because they're not like those rolling bowling balls that you can just bat back and forth. This man runs through tackles like they have the plate.
Yeah. I mean, he's 5'11", 200 pounds. I mean, he just has elite balance, right? And those guys are tough to find. He has great feel, too, when it comes to knowing what he's looking at up front in the front seven and knowing to hit the hole. But I'll always say this about Ole Miss and a Lane Kiffin coach team. The biggest story to me always is going to be Ole Miss's defense. To come out and shut a Florida team down in the second half with your backs against the wall, they have stood up in big moments this year, and that can be the difference for Ole Miss. Trust me, you're going to put points up with this quarterback, with Lane Kiffin, with this offensive system. But if your defense is serviceable, you don't have to be fantastic, right? You really don't. But if you're just good enough, that can be the difference from Ole Miss not only making the playoffs, but going to win a national championship. And, David, I agree with you. I completely agree that it's unprofessional for these guys to ask that. But kudos for these players and kudos to Lane Kiffin for not falling into the distractions and letting them bother them. Because I've seen a Lane Kiffin coach team go and lose games like this, right? And that's not the case this year.
Hey, how about this? Kejuan Lacey, 1,136 rushing yards on the year. Jeremiah Love, 1,135 rushing yards. He has one more rushing yard than Jeremiah Love. Kejuan Lacey, 19 total touchdowns. Jeremiah Love right now, 17 total touchdowns on the year.
And can you imagine? Remember, Kejuan Lacey transferred, I believe, from Missouri. Can you imagine if Missouri had Kejuan Lacey, Ahmad Hardy, and Roberts?
There's not enough footballs.
There's not enough carries. There's not enough carries to go around. It's a great find there from Lane. So Ole Miss, you got one game left. You can finish 11-1. We're gonna go through. We need to maybe we do it next week. We go through and individually for each team say what has to happen for them to make the conference championship game.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be like doing a football Rubik's Cube. All right, let's move on to the Big Ten here. USC. And what's funny is it felt like USC was very similar to A&M when you look at the disparity in the first and the second half. Now, I get you're playing Iowa, who's not exactly the Harlem Globetrotters on offense, but Iowa came out slinging that thing, Cone. They came out slinging that thing. Got 21 in the first half. It was 21-10 at halftime. But USC, if they're on the road, they don't win this game. I don't care what anybody says. They're on the road, they don't do this. Having this game at home was big. But you outscore Iowa 16-0 in the second half. They don't piss a drop on offense. Maeva, it wasn't like it was his greatest performance ever, 23 of 32 for 254, but made the throws he had to make. King Miller was, I thought, really good. Mekhi Lemon, to me, like everybody in the world knew that Maeva was going to throw it to Lemon. And on the touchdown, there were two guys on him. He didn't care. He was throwing to Mekhi the whole time.
It's a top 10 pick, man.
Had another 153 yards on 10 carries and a touchdown. And he's a tough ass. That's what I like. Like, he's not one of these little dwarfs that's out there just making guys miss and run out of bounds. No. He wants all the smoke all the time. I think he's fantastic, and USC survives. That's what you have to do with him.
If you're a dwarf, sorry for the subtle shot right there, too, by the way.
Look.
How
Kyler
sorry.
Murray probably
You don't sound too
listen
sorry.
to this.
I told you guys in the prediction, I thought, this thing being at Iowa could be really interesting. Being in LA, though, I was going to take Southern Cal. And early on, I thought that I was wrong. I was like, man, USC really isn't putting up the points. I thought kudos to that Iowa defense once again. But then the floodgates started to open. I mean, it's a great win for USC. Mekhi Lemon, like I said, is a top 10 pick. I think we're going to be hearing his name for a long time. And the way King Miller runs the football, man. And I don't even think King Miller right now is on scholarship. The way I understand it, I think he's still a walk-on.
Well, they better give him.
If I'm wrong, y'all let me know in the comments. But man, the way he runs the football, and look, you got to go on the road and beat Oregon in Eugene. That's what it's going to be. And if not, then that's the head-to-head with Michigan's no longer going to get triggered. Which after that game against Northwestern, it was a victory, but
I'm getting to that one.
Never felt more like a loss in a win ever. But great win for Southern Cal.
All right, and they got a huge one.
Yeah, they do.
At Oregon. Season on the line, because 9-3, your ass ain't getting in. I don't care how many pretty girls are running around out there in L.A., but USC survives. We're going to be breaking down that USC-Oregon game shortly, so make sure you're locked in for that as well. All right, David, let's stay in the Big Ten here, bro. Michigan, your alma mater, 24-22 over Northwestern. And boy, it was ugly.
Huge win.
It was ugly, but you know what? An ugly win beats the hell out of a pretty loss any day of the week. And at this point, it is survive in advance as we are barreling. And I'm trying to see, who does Michigan have next, Dave?
Maryland on the road.
Maryland on the road. Should win, right? Should win. I think Northwestern's a tougher game than Maryland is right now, to be honest with you. But, you know, it's just amazing y'all's backs just show. Like, it doesn't matter who's hurt. Y'all's backs just show up. I mean, Jordan Marshall, another 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. I didn't think Bryce was very good. Wait, hold on. Let me change. He does some really good stuff. Like, I'll watch him do some things, and I'm like, God almighty. Like, this dude is talented. But like a young guy, he feels like he can make every throw. Northwestern baited him into a couple things. But what surprised me the most was the points given up in the fourth quarter by Michigan. Now, I know that pick gave Northwestern a short field, but just your overview of the game, man, watching it, because I thought y'all tried to lose it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they're still trying to lose that game somewhere. Blaine, how many times did I walk in the studio this week and tell you Michigan was going to lose to Northwestern?
A lot.
How many times? And you said, no, you're crazy. Well, guess what? You were right and I was wrong. So, but man, again, tried to lose that game in every way possible. And Jake, to your point, like this Michigan team is so frustrating to watch because they do so many good things. On defense yesterday, there was a lot to like. There was a lot. I mean, Bryce Underwood for 3 quarters yesterday, not just the way he played, but reading the RPO, getting the ball to Marsh, which Marsh is a star. He's going to be a superstar, one of the best wide receivers in the country. The way Bryce was reading the RPO and the zone read for the touchdown run, I'm like, man, this guy is figuring it out right before our eyes. And then multiple turnovers in the fourth quarter to try and give this game away. You know, Marshall's such a great back, already filling in for Justice Haynes. And then Marshall goes down, which you got to give Kuzdal, who came in, who's a third team back, you got to give him a lot of flowers for. He ran really hard and he protected the football except for that exchange on 4th and 1, which we shouldn't be in shotgun anyway. Get under center in an era in college football where you can push the quarterback. So I really don't put that one on him. And then the biggest thing is Dominic Zvada. I mean, one of the most automatic kickers a year ago, All-American, has fallen off a cliff, in my opinion, this year. You missed 2 field goals yesterday, but then when you need it for a chance to win the game, he kicks it out of Wrigley Field. Like it's a home run or something. I mean, you go from asset to liability to then kicking the game-winning field goal. I know it's frustrating for Michigan fans, but look, 8-2 with a chance to make the college football playoff. You're going to be hosting Buckeyes in the Big House. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to.
I want Michigan fans, just for the frustrated ones, just to vibe with me for a second. The core that Michigan is putting together for the future right now is sick. The future, especially offensively for Michigan, is so bright. It is so incredibly bright. And it's not just Bryce Underwood, right? It's Andrew Marsh yesterday, a freshman going off when you needed to have him. Jordan Marshall, a sophomore, going off again. Justice Haynes, who's still somewhat of a young player. This Michigan offense is going to be, and I don't think they're going to lose anybody. Hell, what's his face? A billionaire y'all got? Y'all ain't going to lose anybody.
But here's the frustration, Jake. It's not getting good players in. Like, clearly that's happened. It's that they're not being coached the proper fundamentals. It doesn't seem like the talent is developing the way it was under Jim Harbaugh. And look, Jim Harbaugh was one of the best college football coaches that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, David, let me ask you something. I mean, I don't think in my opinion, now again, defensively, I'm trying to remember, are y'all young on defense or is this an older group?
They're young. They're the youngest team, I believe, in the Big Ten. But look,
like,
the Buckeyes are the 4th youngest team, and look what they're doing.
Yeah, and look, I get what you're saying there. I think it's a little bit different with the seasoned guys that Ohio State has around Julian saying. I mean, when you have Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith and CJ Donaldson and Peoples and guys like that, yeah, there's a lot of young talent there. But to me, I think we almost have to wait a little bit on the development stage of it because they are so young. If you're sitting here and they're still making some of these same mistakes next year, I'll fully get on board with that. But when I'm watching your young guys help win you games, and now we are 13 weeks into the season, and you're still fighting for a playoff berth, I want to wait and see a little bit more as these guys continue to grow before I start to worry about, maybe Biff Poggi should be the one coaching them. Maybe,
and it's no shot at Northwestern. Northwestern fights,
Dude, Northwestern's
man.
not a bad football team.
Northwestern fights for their head coach, and they stick together and they fight. So it's no shot. This idea, if you only beat Northwestern by a point, that's embarrassing. It's not that so much as just the mental mistakes down the stretch when you have a chance to put the game away. But again, like we said about Texas A&M, that part of it was in the past. You can either respond and figure out a way to win by a point, or you can lose the game. And to Michigan's credit, they figured out a way to win.
They did, and we'll see going forward. We all know where this thing is barreling towards, and this may be. I mean, we're looking from a playoff berth. You talk about the importance of all these Michigan wins against Ohio State. It may not get bigger than the one that's coming up here in a couple weeks. Rest of the Big Ten, Indiana ended up walking away from Wisconsin.
It's just Ohio State just rolling along.
They pimp slapped UCLA. That game,
Nico said, "I don't want to play in that one."
Yeah, Nico's like, "No, it's Scott. How's Tennessee doing?" All right, I do want to move on here. A couple more. I want to go to the ACC, at least half. The ACC, Notre Dame just jumped Pittsburgh from the start. You have and look, Jeremiah Love popped that run 8 minutes. You get the pick six right after that to go up 14-0. You're up 21-3 at half. Pitt on offense. And Blaine, listen, I'll let you speak to that. I had in locks, leans, and dogs. One of my locks was the Notre Dame Pitt over. I bought it down to 51.5 at minus 147. And Pittsburgh scores that touchdown as time expires yesterday to push it to 52. Don't kick the extra point because it's over. But, Blaine, I'll let you talk about Pitt's offense. That was an absolute Asperger. They were serving Aspergers yesterday. And I'm not talking about the disease.
And that's really tough to find that to be on the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were just
I can never find them.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you had Heinz Schnagel, whatever his name is. I've never seen a quarterback break so many tackles in the backfield and nobody be open.
Yeah.
I've never seen
By
that
the way,
before.
Holstein came in. Did you see that?
Yeah, this guy will break 4 tackles in the backfield, and nobody's open. He's back there for 14 seconds. So kudos to the Notre Dame secondary for being the best ever to walk onto a college football field. But I will say this. I don't think C.J. Carr played great. I thought he kind of played mediocre. But look, I don't know if he gets talked about enough. Jeremiah Love's the best running back in college football.
I think he is too.
He's the best running back in college football. He's just the most NFL-ready guy. You can go put Jeremiah Love out there on a Sunday, he'll run for a buck. That's just what he is. But I will say this about Notre Dame: the defense is coming along, right? And that was the big thing in the year. I mean, obviously, you lost a lot of pieces there. You're kind of young in the secondary, I believe, right? But you come out and you run a lot of man coverage, and they're adjusting a little bit. I saw a lot more zone out of Notre Dame in this football game. And if this Notre Dame defense can keep playing like this, and C.J. Carr can keep progressing with that offensive line also progressing, and a guy like Jeremiah Love at running back and the receivers that you have, Notre Dame, I wouldn't be surprised to see Notre Dame in the semifinals in the college football playoff, right?
Really? I think the defense has to continue. I don't think you can rely just on C.J. Carr when we get into these. Let's be honest, the two best teams they play.
Why would you rely on just C.J. Carr?
No, I'm not saying that you do. I'm talking about the defense has to keep playing this way because if you look, and I know the schedule hasn't been great, right, after the first two, but ever since that Purdue game, here's the amount of points the Notre Dame defense has given up and who they played. Arkansas, pretty damn good offense. You only gave up 13 on the road. Boise, they can put some points together. You gave up 7. NC State, we've seen them surprise some people in the ACC. You only gave up 7. You only gave up 24 to USC, which is an accomplishment anytime you keep a Lincoln Riley team under 28. At Boston College, they suck, but you only gave up 10. Against Navy, triple option team, it can get weird. You only gave up 10. You only gave up 15, and you had that 6 in garbage time. You really gave up 9 yesterday. So the defense is playing better. It's just –
and that Boston College team that sucks just went wire to wire with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, put up 34. Put up 34 on Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech had to survive there as well. But this Notre Dame team, again, you got to give them credit. It's just David, I don't think we can call Notre Dame elite, right? Or like –
who would you call elite?
I don't know.
I'd call Ohio State elite.
Buckeyes look – they're about
to – their offense is elite.
We're headed –
Talking about Ohio State, you don't know if Ohio State's offense is elite?
Yeah.
Well – let's hope.
Shit. Then what offense has ever been elite?
I would say I would say Julian Sainz still had some way to. He threw for 180 yards last game. I would say their defense.
Yeah, but didn't he complete like 95% of his passes? They just started running it.
Yeah, I know, but Julian Sainz hadn't been pushed to the presser yet, right? Ohio State has been dominating everybody because they're better than everybody, right? But sooner or later, you're going to go up against somebody where Julian Sainz is going to have to go win a football game. We haven't really seen that yet. I know Ohio State defense, if there's anything elite in college football, Ohio State's defense is as elite as it gets.
That's factual.
The offense is really good, right? But I don't know if it's elite yet.
Well, maybe Notre Dame can join the Big Ten, and we can see that matchup
Hell,
before
I don't
the
know.
playoff.
Hey, the way I'm seeing it, our Michigan and USC leaving cone, you got to change. All of a sudden, Michigan's going to be independent next year.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, we're out. Yeah, hey man, we're headed to a serious possible rematch of Notre Dame and Texas A&M, and I don't know where it could happen. I mean, it would probably be at a neutral site in one of the bowl game semifinals or quarterfinals. But what if there's a scenario where Notre Dame has to go on the road with Texas A&M hosting them in College Station for Notre Dame to have a chance to beat them at their place, which is what happened a year ago. Yeah, I'll take the over in that game.
It's going to be interesting to follow. Notre Dame, I think they've got Stanford and Syracuse the rest of the way out. They're going to finish, it looks like 10-2. It's going to be a very interesting.
But how Jeremiah Love finishes to me is very important because I seriously think the kid is in the Heisman Trophy conversation.
He should be. If he's not, we don't even need to have a conversation anymore, to be honest. All right, last game I want to hit here, guys, unless there's anything else. Remember, make sure you hit that subscribe button. In the comments, let us know what you think. What did you like? What did you not like? Virginia just beat Duke's ass yesterday. I mean, I had that one on the phone watching it because Virginia was a dog pick. Cone, I think me and you both had them as a dog pick. Hell, you hit both your dog picks, Cone.
I did. 2 weeks in a row. Maybe 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you're basically starting a humane society with all these dogs you picked. All right, so Virginia beats Duke 34-17. Got to be a huge sigh of relief from Jim Phillips that Duke isn't going to be in the ACC championship because that could have gotten really weird for the ACC, possibly getting no teams in. And now if you're Virginia, you've got one game left. You're 6-1 in the ACC, and that game you are playing is versus Virginia Tech at home. You should win that one, get to 10-2, get to 6-1, and they control their own destiny, I believe. I think if Virginia wins, they're in, right? We know that for a fact, I believe.
If they win out, they're in what?
They're in the ACC championship.
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So, again, I mean, Chandler Morris, 23 of 35.
He was slinging it, man.
He was. You know, it's just that
threw a couple
turnovers
picks,
scare me with him.
I know. He threw a couple picks.
Like, that man has never seen a pass he was afraid to throw, which a lot of times that's good, but sometimes it's bad, and then sometimes it's be really bad. But Jamari Taylor, again, we talk about underrated backs. Jamari Taylor from Virginia can tote that thing. Man.
Yeah.
133, 2 touchdowns, 133 on 18 carries, and he's heavy. Like, I mean, hell, Whaley, the backup, they gave him 16 carries too. This Virginia team, you know, can they win a playoff game if the matchup is right? I think so. But hell, they've been up and down. I am not betting the ACC anymore. I know there's only a couple weeks. I ain't betting stuff no more. Not doing it. But what do you guys think about Virginia? I mean, where do we put Virginia?
They look good yesterday. I mean, look, they look like a team that has to win the ACC to make the college football playoff, in my opinion.
They look like every other ACC team. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah. Well, Blaine literally yesterday over the house when we were watching these ACC games, she's like, man, is the ACC just bad? Like, you remember we had that conversation the other day? It's like, is it better for the conference if anybody can beat everybody to show conference strength? I think it is to a certain point when you have a lot of top teams that can beat each other. Man, it's just the more I watch Cone, the more I'm kind of starting to agree with Blaine. Maybe the ACC.
I'm looking at a team in Florida State that's nowhere in the ACC conversation, and they beat Alabama. And I'm looking at a Miami team who's on the outside looking in, probably won't make the conference championship, beat Notre Dame. And it's like when we've had these crossover opportunities, like they've delivered in a lot of ways. But then, I mean, like Vanderbilt will spank Virginia Tech or something. Like, I just think that's how it's going.
Hey, look,
across the country.
Hey, we're going to see the best against one of the best here in a couple weeks.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia versus Georgia Tech. That'll be a good barometer.
Which, I mean, last year that went to what? 8 overtimes and Georgia wins. So is it as simple as that where it's like if Georgia just finds a way, then the ACC is trash, or does Georgia need to blow them out?
Yeah, like to me,
I wonder what the spread will be for that game.
Yeah, that's good. That's gonna be interesting to see too, Blaine, what the spread on that game is. I just still Cone one of the funniest things Blaine has ever said, and he said it once again yesterday when I had Georgia Tech Boston College up there in the final parts of that game. It's just Haynes King is 100% the guy. What is his name? Private Dawson?
Yeah,
from Hacksaw Ridge. He just keeps going up. This man, it's amazing. He may be the toughest player in college football.
It's him. And that quarterback, that quarterback that played at TCU, Max
Duggan.
man.
He was at their basketball game the other day.
Dog,
I'm telling you, it's
Haynes
just those
King.
two guys. You want to talk about leaving it all on the line?
He goes up there without a gun, like, oh boy.
No,
Like, he just
you
up there
think
rescuing people without a gun.
You're laying in the field somewhere. You just got shot in the leg, right? You're making peace.
Man, Haynes had 420 total yards.
Dude, I'm telling you.
You're making peace with God. You think it's all over, right? And all of a sudden you look up, and Haynes King's running that read option right to you. He's going to come save you. He does it every Saturday. Every Saturday he does it. It's just it's
the best. It's the best analogy or comparison, whatever, because it's so true, man. I just wonder, like, I want to see him just walk to the bus after the game, like what that looks like. Like, to me, I'd have somebody that worked at the airport with a wheelchair just waiting for him, like every time.
Right now, the spread for the Georgia Tech would be 13.5.
13.5. And that game's in Atlanta, but not where Georgia Tech's playing, I believe.
I don't know. Just make it home and home. Grow up.
Dude, look, Georgia Tech, they are the absolute example of just survive. But anything else, anything on the periphery that you guys saw that you want to hit on?
Man, what a day yesterday.
Dude.
Even the 11 o'clock window, I'm like, oh my goodness.
It was hitting all day yesterday.
Every single window. And YouTube, we got the YouTube TV back. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
What a victory.
The worst part, though, I haven't canceled my Hulu one yet because I've watched that new, like, Murdaugh show they got, the Alec Murdaugh Death of the Family thing. The minute that thing ends, I am canceling. But I've got to watch it. I'm too far in. In now. But this next week, I know there's not as many amazing games, but there's some big ones. BYU at Cincinnati is a big one. Tennessee is going to Florida. I know there's no playoff implications there, but that's always a big game. You've got some teams that are just trying to survive. The biggest one, without a doubt, is USC at Oregon, right? Unless I'm just missing something crazy. Missouri at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's just got to survive that one. This USC-Oregon game has got a ton. And don't be surprised if maybe we look ahead a little bit to what's coming up in 2 weeks for some massive games. Just maybe. We got to talk about it with the crew. But anything else, Blaine, you got anything before we get out of here?
Nothing good, man.
All right. Well, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you check out all of our content. Got another big week coming up. This is Crain & Company, and you're you. What a magical combination. Together.